two. I call this meeting of the South Redford Board of Education together at 6:32. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is, could you call the roll, Mr. Secretary?
Yes, ma'am. Anthony Johnson.
Correct.
Amanda Flesher.
Present.
Lori Hicks is absent. Misha Early.
Present.
Cheryl Flesher.
Present.
Daniel Winston. Present. Shirley Tolliver.
Present. Next item on the agenda is the approval of agenda. Are there any? There are none. The agenda will be as written. Next item on the agenda is Superintendent Communication. Mr. Bond.
Thank you, Madam President. I have several recognitions this evening. Special thanks are in order to the entire Jefferson staff that successfully organized a math carnival along with its ribbon cutting ceremony. And to see Jefferson families engaged in having a fun time with mathematics over at Jefferson Elementary School, and to see how well it was attended was extremely engaging and very impressive. So hats off to the entire Jefferson staff. Also, many thanks are in order to Vandenberg Elementary School teacher Joy Burks, as well as Sean Salmonen, as well as Amy Davidson, for successfully hosting a community engagement evening with families here throughout the South Redford School District community right here in the SOAR space a couple of weeks ago. It was extremely inviting as well as engaging, and we had very deep conversations on a variety of different topics. And just the thought that went into the planning and preparation that evening was certainly very commendable. So many thanks are in order there. Also, special thanks are in order to State Representative Ms. Stephanie Young, who was kind enough to attend the boys varsity basketball game on Friday evening and present to the Thurston High School athletics program another defibrillator machine in honor of Heart Health Awareness Month. In fact, Board President Tolliver had her read on the other day, and so many thanks are in order to Representative Stephanie Young. We're fortunate to have her partnership. And then also hats off to the Thurston High School Band Booster Program, as well as to band director Mr. Austin Chasnick, who successfully hosted yet another outstanding annual spaghetti dinner fundraiser for our band program. Board President Tolliver and myself had the opportunity to attend on Friday evening. The band sounds simply phenomenal. And then both board president as well as vice president also were in attendance at the family engagement evening. And so I know we'll have other opportunities for the board to continue to engage in opportunities here throughout the district. And so with that, Madam President, back to you.
Next item on the agenda is board communication. Do I have any board communication?
To the chair?
Yes.
I have two things. The first thing I want the board to know is the policy committee had a pre-meeting on Friday. We met with the attorney and Chris and Jason, Shirley, Lori, and I. And we've got 2 more meetings scheduled over the next month, and the board will be receiving information to read, and we're going to try to bring you in and keep you up informed as we go through this process. So that's where that stands. And also I was asked, everybody knows Eagles Helping Hands and how much they do for the community. But what the board, I think the board does not know, is that they just recently donated 2 pallets of copy paper to the high school. And they're also working with Home Depot for materials to help get our baseball dugouts built. So I wanted to make sure the board was aware of what Eagles Helping Hands is doing behind the scenes. That's all I have to report.
Are there any other board communications? Next item on the agenda is comments from the audience, topics related to the agenda. Are there any? Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Mr. Kinsey, are you gonna?
Not tonight, we'll do it next week,
Okay.
or next time.
Okay. Do I have a board member willing to adopt the consent agenda?
To the chair.
Yes.
I'd like to move the adoption of the following agenda item, please.
Do I have a support?
Support.
It's been adopted by Mrs. Fletcher, supported by Mrs. Early. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is presentation of Thurston High School annual presentation.
Madam President?
Yes.
If I may, we have several special guests this evening.
Oh, okay.
Of which, before we turn it over to Thurston High School, we have two special guests also representing the student body of Thurston High School. And so if we may, before we turn it over to the high school team, allow our two student representatives to introduce themselves to the board and talk a little bit about their upcoming interactions with the Board of Education and where they're at in their journey as seniors over at Thurston High School. So I know both of their names, however, I'll turn it over to the two of them to introduce themselves to the board as well as to the audience tonight, as both are not only outstanding students, but also incredible performers. And so with that, I will turn it over to our two student representatives from Thurston this evening.
Okay, so first of all, I am Nicholas Hobson,
I'm Bentia Cisse.
and I'm the senior class president of my class.
Oh, I'm the public relations officer, so I do anything social media wise and get all the news out.
And so first, I want to talk about what we did great this first semester. We had a really great homecoming. It was a wonderful turnout. A lot of people said positive feedbacks about it. We also had a winter festival or a winter activity night at Thurston as well. It was around 50 to 60 people that participated, and once again, it was a wonderful turnout. It was very structured as to student council doing it very well, in my opinion, and it was a wonderful night. Again, we had really good pep rallies lately. Our recent one, which was Friday, where we
We slide Mr. Rudy. That was a great fundraiser. The student body really loved that. We raised a lot of money for that, actually. Yeah, in one day, Mr. Rudy raised like $80.
So I think small activities like that, while engaging with the student body, really encourage students to better their attendance as well. If something is happening on Friday and it's like a gloomy Monday, I feel like it helps students look forward to that Friday while coming to school every day. Also incorporating spirit weeks as well also encourages students to partake in those days while also coming to school. So it was a great outlook on improving attendance while also having fun in your senior year as well.
Yeah, and also for Halloween, to encourage students to come for attendance, we gave out candy bags and told students to be early. And I think the attendance was pretty great that day. Yeah, okay, future events. We're trying to plan a talent show right now. It's in the works. And hopefully this will become an annual thing, because we know students have really been talking about wanting some type of talent show or some type of event, as well as plays, because not everybody can, get the part in the play that they want. So talent shows to showcase special talents that students might have or stuff they want to show off. And I feel like it would be a great way as a fundraiser, and it could be a thing we continue over the years. And also for the seniors, we were thinking about doing like a senior field day, since it's like their last senior event, as we did in like 5th grade or middle school, just so they can have a little last piece of their childhood.
Yeah, and that concludes our future events. We will be back in the March meeting to present ideas that we want to change for the future as well. So, thank you so much.
Could you repeat your name?
Bentia Cisse.
Thank you.
To the chair,
Yes.
I just want to say to you young senior people, feel free to reach out, as I was once a senior from Thurston, and I have very fond memories, especially of Mr. Bob and Powder Puff football. Yeah, go ahead and reach out to me if you need some ideas or help.
Thank you so much. I'm so proud of you.
And with that, Madam President, if we may pivot and turn it over to the Thurston High School administrative team to talk with us about additional wonderful things that are occurring at Thurston High School.
Which we do all for these guys. So, good evening. Thank you for letting us visit you tonight, talk a little bit about good things we do at Thurston. All right, that's kind of the theme tonight. Mr. Price and I were reminiscing a little bit over there earlier. When our meeting was in April, it was a different meeting, right? We had different things going on in the building, like robotics and the play, and we would do an excerpt. But I think sometimes those meetings got a little bit long. So we're not going to be long with a play excerpt or robotic exercises tonight, but we are going to talk a little bit about the things we do. So that being said, you guys know the vision that we share this with our staff every time we get together and meet, and our mission, as well as Jason's big rocks. I guess they're not Jason's big rocks. They were introduced when Mr. Bob Rupes came. So that's how we refer to them. But we always tie those things together along with our balanced assessment systems, which we were talking about with our building leadership team this afternoon, along with the framework through which we try to view our work at Thurston at the building level. I've talked to you about this before, but again, as a reminder, it's from Jimmy Costas' work called Culturize, where we try to put everything we do through one of these domains, whether it's being a champion for students, expecting excellence of them, speaking about how do we carry the banner for others or ask them to carry ours after our interactions, and how do we continue to be merchants of hope. So that's just the framework that we put and situate all of our work through when we're working with staff, students, and parents. So today we just want to talk a little bit about some of the good things that are happening at Thurston. Mr. Price, if you would talk a little bit about the first item.
All right, so good evening, everyone. I am Mr. Price, Moses Price. I'm the assistant principal over at Thurston. I wanted to share with you guys a little bit about our student support coordinator that started this year. But before I kind of describe some of the things that person's been doing, I also want to say thank you. I want to say thank you because the recognized need that you guys all have, you guys saw and made it possible for us to be able to hire this person, throughout once the year started. But it's helped in a number of ways in the sense of the things that I do on a daily basis and how I operate. Allowed me to focus a lot more on the instructional leader part of my job, which was really taking a hit over the last couple of years. So it allowed me to be in the classroom a lot more, allowed me to have a lot more intentional conversations with teachers, just having this extra support in the building. It also allowed for Ms. Harris to, I don't know, in a sense, not feel guilty as if she's abandoning the team because she's focusing on Innovation Center stuff. But she has a lot of stuff going on over on this side of the world, and it's really good. But having the student support coordinator around allows for the two of us to really be able to do the things that we have on our daily plates, I think, while still focusing on culture and climate, which is, I wake up every morning kind of saying that mantra, culture, climate, culture, climate, culture, climate. So I focus a lot on that, and the student support coordinators really jumped in and been able to help me with that part of what we want for the community over at Thurston. And then the same goes for Mr. Rudy. It's allowed him to be able to, be into the classrooms a lot more, be out in the halls. He's walking around with one of these things mobily throughout the building every day. But it's just that extra support that's been given that allows us to be able to do a lot more. So thank you for that part. Just some of the things that the student support coordinators come in and we started focusing on really has been MTSS focused, right? This multi-tier system of support. And he's jumping in and he's looking at everything through a lens through a data-driven lens. But he's focusing on the three areas, three big areas over there, but you call them three big rocks. Academics, attendance, and behavior. And all those three things, they overlap. If you look at it in the sense of like a Venn diagram, they all overlap with each other at some point or another, and then in the middle, he's really been a big, integral, critical piece to the things that we've been doing the last couple months. And jumping in and just taking all of it by the horns. So that's what he's kind of jumped in and he's been doing. I think moving forward, it's going to continue just growing into this position or his stance in the multi-tier system of support on their team, helping out a lot with seminar and things we're doing for students academically in that piece, while, as I mentioned, continuing to be that integral piece and making sure that we are just really focusing on culture and climate in the building. As I've said before, and I continue to say, teaching and learning is what should be going on at Thurston, and there's no time or at any point should anyone, kid or adult, feel worried about coming into that building or worried that they aren't going to be able to just focus on those two things. And so it's the one thing that gets me up every day, and it's the one thing that helps me sleep at night, knowing that I'm focusing on the culture and the climate of the building, which I think overall is going to impact not just our building, but Pierce and the elementary buildings as well, just throughout the district. So that student support coordinator has been a big help. Appreciate you guys for that. And I look forward to, as we move into the years with this person, how it's going to develop and transform into this, I don't want to say this big monster, but it's going to be a good thing that we're going to be able to all be able to work together with and keep this place just kind of functioning like it should be.
So I will second that notion that having Mr. Sowers there has been an amazing support and has allowed me to really focus on what you all know is my passion, which is doing great things for kids and trying to provide as many opportunities for them as we possibly can. And so because you all know that I can be very long-winded, because I love to talk about all the great things that are going on, and I don't know how much Mr. Boboretsky has shared with you since we last met last year, so I just jotted some things down that are kind of cool that are going on with CTE and Innovation Center. And these are in no particular order, and I'm going to try to go fast because I don't want to take up all of your time. Most recently, we were just awarded a $77,000 grant from Atlantic Impact through MyLeap. This grant is intended to keep kids involved with CTE courses. It's also allowing us to provide SAT prep for our students, which Mr. Rudy is in the process of trying to figure out what we want that to look like and how that's going to happen. So that just came through, which was really cool. I just found out that our South Redford Foundation we had an anonymous donor last year that donated $5,000, and I was just told the day before yesterday that that person just donated another $5,000. I couldn't even spend the first $5,000 yet. So we have $10,000 from an anonymous donor, which has been amazing. And then since we spoke last, a lot of you already know, we closed out our most recent Margaret Dunning grant in the amount of $55,000. So the auto shop looks beautiful now, and we've got the floors epoxied, and we've got the new doors, and we've got wall-mounted openers, so that those lifts can safely raise all the way. And we've got Mr. Carity in there, who is doing a phenomenal job working with our students and getting them the education that they need so that they can go on. Which leads me to our work-based learning situation. We currently went from 24 students in Chef Tony's hospitality and tourism management class to 168 students in the 5 programs to currently we have 504 students that are participating in some sort of CTE class throughout Thurston, and that doesn't include the intro to computer literacy / professional communications course that is being taught by Ms. Escrow right now. So we see those numbers growing as we've expanded our programming. There have been 2 applications submitted to the state. We are not making any promises with the one, but an application for cosmetology has been submitted to the state, as well as business administration. So those would be Aaron Ferris's courses, and kind of creating a pathway for that. In addition to that programming, we've also we have our HOSA chapter, which is in its 2nd year. Our HOSA students is Health Occupation Student Association, and this is a leadership group that is for students who are interested in going into the health occupation field. They recently competed at regionals. We had 12 students compete. 8 of those students qualified to go on to our state round. 4 of them placed in their events. So it's the top 5 that go on to states. The top 3 earned medals, and we had 4 students who earned medals, and they were going up against, and I'm telling you, I think Plymouth Canton had 350 kids there, and I'm not joking. But they went up against schools like Plymouth Canton, Rochester High School, Northville High School, and it was little old Thurston. We were like, yeah, they were doing so great. So, and they to be only the second year in their organization and be able to come away with those medals was like, oh, it's awesome. So they are going up to Traverse City in April, and they will be competing with other HOSA members from around the state. So we'll see how they do with that. We also started a chapter, which is just in its infancy, of the National Technical Honor Society for those students who are participating in CTE, as well as an FCCLA chapter. I always get the letters wrong, but it's like Family Consumer Career Leadership Association. So those are for students who are in our HTM programs, as well as our business administration programs. So that will be hopefully up and running in the fall. But we do have our charter memberships for both of those. We have 16 students who are working outside of Thurston and off campus. We have 11 at Roush, 6 are working with their welding and fabrication team, and 5 of them are working with their automotive technology team over at Roush. We have 2 students who are working, doing work-based learning at Maddox Chevrolet. One of those students has been kind of identified as somebody who is strong in that area, and Maddox Chevrolet, being the ever gracious partner that they are, is going to sponsor that student so that he can go on and become a master technician. And they will pay for his, they will pay for his tuition at Macomb Community College for him to be able to do that. So these opportunities that they're having are just incredible. We've had a lot of really good feedback about our apprenticeship wall, and I know students we put a little mini one over here for the students at SOAR, and there's one over at Innovation Center, and then the giant one is over at Thurston. We've had a lot of feedback about that. I walked into SOAR the other day, and one of the students was applying for the electrical apprenticeship, and that's just, those things are changing lives. I could go on and on and on. Not going to. We had our students competed in the Ironworkers High School Invitational in November, and WDIV came out. For those of you that didn't see it, WDIV came out, and they did a spotlight on our welding program in particular, but they did show some different clips of the Innovation Center. I was just asked last week if they could come out again, so they'll be here again on Thursday. And I'm going to find a student who wants to talk about their experience, and they are going to highlight all of the career tech ed programs that we have here at Thurston, so that's kind of exciting. We are extending the hours at the Nest. We were able to kind of do some tweaking with schedules, so we will be extending those hours. I will get that email and another menu out, but we will be able to stay open until 1 o'clock, which is kind of cool because then we can get all of the lunches for the teachers. And April 23rd, we have our next advisory committee meeting, and we're talking about ways to involve more students in that so that we can invite our partners in from the community, and they may be able to meet some of the students who are going to be graduating so that they can say, hey, we're looking for jobs, and kind of connect those two people together. More on that, but save the date for April 23rd if you want to come and join us for a sort of career fair as well. All of these things are leading us to our post-secondary planning focus at Thurston. So we're really, really focused this year, and we'll continue to be focused on how are we supporting students once they graduate, and how are we supporting students while they're in school so that they can get onto a pathway that is going to be meaningful to them. So whether that is our Eagle Scholars Honors Pathway because they know that they want to go to a quality 4-year university, or it's a 4-year non-Eagle Scholars Pathway because they know that whatever they want to do requires that. It may also be one of our CTE pathways, which, like I said, are expanding, and we're also looking at ways of like kind of putting classes that we already have together. For example, like digital multimedia. and trying to turn that into a CTE pathway as well so that we can incorporate the amazing opportunities that we already have at Thurston. But our goal is that by the end of their sophomore year, every single student will declare what pathway they're on. So we are hoping that what this will do is provide them with a focus and a reason to be at school. It gets really tiresome to continue to explain, like, why do I have to take this class? What is it good for? Why am I doing this? And so we feel like we have enough offerings for all students that we can help guide them down those pathways so they can find out what they want to do. And maybe what they don't want to do, so that they're not wasting that time and that money once they graduate. We're also looking for ways to support them once they do graduate, so it's not like literally fly, little birdie. My mom loves to use that phrase, but like fly, little birdie, and that's it. So we're looking at ways that we can stay connected to them and offer them support, because we know that that's a very pivotal time in their lives, and a lot of people just go, oh, well, you're grown now, so you're good. And we know that that is not true, and it's really hard. So we're really focused on that. We've incorporated Naviance curriculum in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, and our counselors are monitoring all of that. And they are having really targeted conversations with students so that it's not like, well, what classes do you want to take? It's more, what pathway do you want to be? Great, here's the classes that you need to take, because these are the ones that are going to get you to those certifications and those credentials that you're going to need once you graduate. And I know that was a lot, I said I was going to be brief, but like, that's as brief as I can get. Sorry.
Pretty good.
Thanks.
I will just say that what Beth and Moses just pointed out are things that they said in about 10 minutes that require night and day work, focus, attention, and energy. And I'm very thankful to both of them for the leadership that they provide to us students in our community and our building. So thank you both. Speaking of leadership, it's wonderful that they're here tonight. So I'm very happy about that. Enough said, they already demonstrated it, but I will say that this group of seniors that are leading student council have been a part of what we've been working on for about 4 years to really, I know Mrs. Race and Ms. Ashbrook talked to you about this a lot, to revitalize what student council means away from I'm just going to say it, a popularity contest, to being something that's more of an active agent of student voice and government in the building. So they lead the pep rallies, right? They lead the fundraisers. They lead things. They don't show up to be recipients of things. And for a long, long time, that's what student council was. I mean, they'll tell you. But that's long, hard work too, right? It's culture shifting. It shifts the responsibility of who does the heavy lifting of what the climate and culture of the building feels like, not away from us, but with students, if that makes sense, right? It's something that we do together, not against each other. And so we do things now like principals advisory. We do it tomorrow. Yeah, it's on our calendar. Right? So like principals advisory council, right? We just sit and we talk about what's going on, what's important to them, what do they want to see. It doesn't mean that I can do everything that they want to do or say yes to everything, but having the dialogue matters. You know, and that's what's important, and that's been growing. So I'm very thankful to the student leadership in the building and the way that they are shifting that away from, like I said, the popularity contest, and really leaving a legacy behind that the two of you are doing that will last far beyond your years here. So thank you for that. All right, so shifting away from some of the, I guess the fun stuff. Any questions about any of those things? Yes, please.
I have a question. Beth, all that you said about the career, the monies and all of that, because you know we love to talk about how great our district is doing. So can you send us that? Just
sure.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
She needs the elevator pitch for,
Yeah, I got it. I try to get as much as I can to Lilia and Stephanie with CODIUS too, so they try to post some stuff too. But, so I'll just kind of
That'll be great.
pass that along to you as well.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
So the fun things in the support of the expansion of programs and offerings for kids are certainly what we're all about on a daily basis, but we also have to talk about the data and what the numbers say. So here you're looking at a 3-year comparison of our SAT and PSAT data. As a reminder, 9th and 10th graders take the PSAT, 11th graders take the SAT. Very pleased with the considerable growth. We were one of the highest growing districts in Wayne County with our ELA benchmark scores this past year. So that's really trending in the right direction. Although I wish those percentages were just higher numbers overall, they are headed in the right direction. So we see some growth there. We are also moving forward on the 17th of February, looking at new curriculum in ELA as well to continue to support this growth that we've been seeing coming out of remote learning. Not as fancy and fun, which is the biggest work we've got going, is math. It's still pretty flat, has been for a while. But I am pleased to note that we are already actively engaged in righting this ship with regard to implementing a brand new curriculum that's been rolled out across our math department. I recently met with the math teachers specifically around the idea of the 11th graders that are in Algebra 2 and then in 2A. If you're not familiar, Algebra 2A is the course where it breaks down Algebra 2 to be taught across 2 years. 2 semesters, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, Algebra 2A in 2 semesters and then 2B in 2 semesters. So Algebra 2 in 2 years, yeah. The encouraging thing is that students are engaging at a higher level with this new math curriculum than I believe, then I'll say that I've ever seen them. So much so that the most recent PLC meeting that we had with the Algebra 2 teachers, they're having conversations about the pacing that's going on in terms of the students who are in Algebra 2A, who traditionally are the more struggling math students. But they are on the same pace currently with the Algebra 2 students. So we're having conversations about how are we awarding credit moving forward to acknowledge that. I was meeting with Nicole Thomas after our department head building leadership team meeting this afternoon about how do we build the schedule moving forward into next year if this trend continues. Because to put it in the words of some of our teacher consultants who co-teach in those classes with those struggling students, the students are surprising themselves at how they're able to, I think, engage with this curriculum and achieve things that I don't think that perhaps they thought they could under our old way of math instruction. To put it simply, it's much more grounded in practical reality, right? Rather than just, I look to James because he's an old math teacher, just numbers on a board taking notes, which turns the crank for some people, but not a lot. So we want to keep our students focused and ready and engaged in the Michigan Merit curriculum so that they have access to all the opportunities that Beth just described through our CTE program. So we're looking forward to this number being not that number next year. Okay. Science and social studies. Also, science didn't jump. It's kind of flat. Social studies saw improvement. So we're proud of those M-STEP scores. We were having conversations this afternoon, as I said, with our leadership team about making sure that our assessment systems are tight. We were reviewing formative and summative ratios today with our staff, feedback to students, that those loops are happening, ongoing and continuous. So again, I know that these are just numbers on a grid, but it is a part of the work that we're doing day in and day out with teachers and students. Yesterday. So that's kind of the data piece that we have going at Thurston High School right now. So I'm not going to commit the cardinal sin of reading a whole slide to you. But we've kind of talked with some of the here's what's and so what's, but now what's. Mr. Price talked about the MTSS systems and our student support coordinator, which given the support that we have amongst our team is, as they have both said, really kind of increasing our bandwidth to look at what I would call more instructional leadership that is preventative as opposed to responsive. So actually able to do a lot of that work. Again, we just talked moments ago about aligning our common assessments. We are beginning the curriculum adoption in English, as I pointed out. We are rolling out SAT sessions for juniors. Y'all are done, you won't do that. But we're going to be having SAT labs open every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from now until April, what's the date, 13th, I think, second week of April. So In the past, we've done it kind of wholesale. I don't know how effective it was. We talked to a lot of staff about that. They could tell their faces they didn't like that part. So we're pivoting in a way that's being responsive to what feedback students have given us as well as staff. But those are still going to be opportunities open to students 3 days a week for a solid hour in seminar that they can opt into. And our I-team is kind of taking a step forward with really trying to dial in on some of the students who are here all the time but still struggling. So we're breaking them down into really smaller groups where individual members of our intervention team are going to be taking on a couple of kids on a caseload and really closely monitoring their data and progress in a 6-week short-term cycle. So I'll just say a thing to say the truth. Multi-tiered systems of support is a fancy word that we throw around, right? But the tier 1 is what's happening for all kids. Tier 2 are things like seminar and what we're doing with I-team to work with kids who might be struggling. And tier 3 goes on into special ed or perhaps even into SOAR. But to quote Elisa Nagelhout, we can't tier 2 our way out of a tier 1 problem. So all the things we're talking about with regard to curriculum adoption, monitoring our systems, using our I-team and our student support coordinator as well as these two, and having more of an intentional focus on instruction, given the bandwidth and support that you've provided to us, we're really encouraged and hopeful that we're going to see some really positive gains in the coming, in the coming year. So I look forward to our next report being a little happier in terms of data, but not accidentally. It's happening through great design and intention at home. So, with that being said, questions?
I have 2 more fun things.
Oh, more fun
really
things.
Quick. I'm really sorry. But Ms. Fletcher brought up the dugout situation, so I was going to report to you that grant has been submitted also to Home Depot, but the ground has already been prepared. So our partners with Redford Cement came out and worked with our construction trades kids to, they taught them how to pour 4 foundations. So there's 2 dugouts for baseball and 2 dugouts for softball. And there are 4 beautiful brand new cement pads out there courtesy of Redford Cement. So we paid nothing for all of that work. And hopefully that grant goes through and we pay nothing for the materials. And it's been even more important than that, it's been an amazing experience for our students because they are learning about a variety of trades and what they may or may not want to do. And everywhere we go, people are always telling us how amazing Thurston High School students are. And Redford Cement was no exception. I'm sure Mr. Bob told you about the crazy reception we got at their holiday party. We got invited to their holiday party, and you would have thought that we were like the guests of honor because he went on for I don't even know how long about how amazing the kids were, and they were so engaged, and they weren't on their phones, and they were asking questions, and some of them even stayed through the beginning of football practice because they wanted to learn how to do it, and they did everything. They dug it, they flattened it, they did everything. They obviously did not pour the cement because they came out of the truck, but they smoothed everything. They learned how to make the forms, to do the forms and how to remove the forms. They did all of that. So that's already done. Our target date to start, should this grant go through, which I'm hoping that it will, is March 12th. So we're hoping that we'll be able to get that done. And the other thing that I wanted to just say is thank you for your support, and thank you guys for your support, because I was just in Grand Rapids, and I'm going to get weepy, so just whatever, forgive me. But I was in Grand Rapids 2 weeks ago at the state CTE conference, and we are doing things that nobody else is doing. And I'm not saying that nobody else has CTE. Lots of people have CTE programs. But for us, for you to support CTE programming of this kind with that space to Thurston High School students is really unheard of. Like, they don't do it. They're like, what do you mean? So like, which programs do you have and what high schools are you sharing with? Nobody. We're sharing with nobody. So if students want to come here, they come in through the EDGE program because that way we can ensure that they're South Redford kids and that they are treated the way that we treat all South Redford kids, and they get the quality education that they get from every single one of our South Redford teachers. And the earlier we get them, the better. And so the EDGE program has been amazing, but it's so great to be able to walk people around Thurston, show them all the regular classrooms and all the new furniture, and be able to talk to them about how amazing our staff is, our whole staff, and how amazing all of the programming kind of fits together so that everybody sees where they're needed and appreciated, and that's all for our students. And so, so thank you for that.
Last story fast. Today, we had a this happened today. Today, we had a prospective family that was coming from Pierce who scheduled a tour. We had the 8th grade parent night. We have like mass come in, but we also have the option, right, if you want to come in and do your own thing, you can do that too. So they were dead set that they were going somewhere else until they came and walked the building and saw the halls and saw the classrooms.
Oh, is this quiet?
And they said, oh, is this quiet? Yeah, it's kind of in your class. Yeah, I mean, they do what we're supposed to be doing. They just went by and talked to Mr. Man, the SRC, and I mean, they left in a very different space than when they came in. So, to Mrs. Harris's point about doing great things, we're doing great things every day. And but the good news is, in terms of job security, that work is never finished. So, it keeps on keeping on. And thank you for allowing us the opportunity to do it. And as we bring in more students through EDGE, just shameless plug, although we do have a lot of programs, we're going to need more seats. So we're going to need more folks to teach them. So just saying that. And with that, I say good night.
And not just teach them, like teach them math and science.
Correct. All the things.
They have to have all of the things, not just the, not just the specialty.
That's fantastic.
Thank you and good night.
Thanks, guys.
Now, I think we'll take about a 10 minutes break. And if you guys don't want, you guys can leave if you don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting. At
7:14.
7:14. I call this meeting back to order.
7:24.
South River Board of Education at 7:24. Next item on the agenda is presentation of preschool playgrounds. Mr. Bob.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Director, Ms. Amy Davidson, to talk a little bit with the board and introduce our one of our other special guests this evening.
Good evening, everyone. If it's okay, I'll just stay right here, if that works. I don't have a present. You have some documents in front of you that I'll go over, so we'll go from there. But thank you so much for letting us come to you tonight. Tonight, I also have with me Matt Campanella from Sinclair Recreation, who is pretty well known in the surrounding area, as well as his organization for many playgrounds they have done. But I just wanted to kind of lay some backdrop as to what we're bringing to you today. And then Matt is available here for questions as well. So it was almost 3 years ago now, I can't even believe it. I was looking through it today, that we came to you regarding, we being myself and some other members of the curriculum department, the director of special education at the time, where we talked about what GSRP kind of was about and what curriculum we needed to adopt, and that it needed to be one of the, I believe we were at Jefferson School, I can remember it. And the reason I bring all that up is there's a particular set of skills and needs that students have in preschool. And they are certainly well directed by Great Start Readiness and what it strives to achieve. You've even met, some of you have met some consultants. One of the things that happens during the day repeatedly is that students do go outside. And the outside is part of their schedule and day. It's the outside and or gross motor time. It's for large physical development. Certainly we have smaller physical development. All the social exchanges that are important in GSRP between instructors and students that we often call serve and return, right? The idea that a student isn't just playing next to me. I can invite them to go play. We do things together. We can imagine together, and so on. So that's a very important part of our 4-year-olds' lives and what's expected in their programming. In addition to that, also about 3 years ago, we took some of the bond work that was assigned from the 21 bond, and we spent time doing a little homework on playgrounds for the rest of our students. in the K-5 population, specifically at all of our schools. And in some of that homework, what we did learn, a lot of from our playground experts, is that students love to climb, no matter whether they're 3 or 11. Climb, 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 climb. Spin, 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 spin. And that we also have students, you know, a lot of times when students are 4, we may not identify that they have needs in special education, or we may know that they do, but we also wanted to make the playgrounds as inclusive as possible. So that was another piece. So that drove the other work we did as we installed and, you know, proposed the rest of the playgrounds that we now know at our elementary schools, which have been just incredibly engaging. So we find ourselves in kind of a unique opportunity. Given now that we have 6 classrooms and 120 students that are 4 that we serve in the district, which is just cool in and of itself. We want to make sure that the students have the appropriate play, knowing the guidance that we learned for our older, slightly older students, as well as what's expected of Great Start Readiness. And the next win we have on that is thanks to GSRP, we have funding. We have funding for each of our students that certainly pays for the curriculum and all of those other things, the needs, training for the teachers, and things throughout the day, as well as outdoor equipment or site improvement. And so as we looked at things this year and the opportunity that we had with the classrooms, it gave us pause to be able to look at 3 of the sites, Fisher, Jefferson, and Vandenberg, who all have designated preschool playground fenced spaces that just needed some improvement. They have a core structure. Each of them has a core structure that's solid. It's already kind of been checked out by playground folks as well as some of our own. And we wanted to be able to add some pieces to enhance the climbing and the spinning and the things that we know young kids love to do and need to do as they go outside or gross motor twice a day. So what you have in front of you, we put a bid out. We did receive a bid from Sinclair. And as Matt has told me, he appreciates the small projects, which is great because this is kind of one of them. Sorry, Matt, you're like right behind the pillar, so I'm doing one of these. That's my fault because I didn't move. You are welcome to, yeah.
Move over.
Thank you, I appreciate that, just in case. So each of those sites will have an opportunity with the just $200,000 that you see in front of you to have some of the pieces, and they have all the parts that you had put together. I've actually seen this climber at another site, so you have like a climber that, I mean, Matt can speak way more to it, that also has sensory things on the outside of it. Play or imaginative play space, a 2-seated item that spins as opposed to those little, I forget what those are called. Seesaw, like springers that sometimes.
Teeter-totter?
And teeter-totter type things, but smaller, like the little seesaws. Like it's like one horse, it looks like maybe like, or an object that a kid could sit on with the springs at the bottom. Those are kind of dated. And then certainly something that taps into other senses and interests, including music. So that's what you see in each of the areas. And then within the bid itself, you can see the cost is approximately just over $60,000 for each of the schools for that improvement, as well as making sure it meets all the codes and needs when it comes to depth and everything else that we're going to be sure to take care of. So that is what you have in front of you. The reason there is no project on for Adams Elementary School is because Adams, like 2 of the other schools, did receive a lower elementary playground that serves the youngest ages. It also has to do with the site itself. We know we've had the Rouge project there, as well as the upper elementary playground, the lower elementary playground, and there is no other designated area. If that's something we need to look at in the future, we can look at GSRP funding and possibly consider if there are more needs. But right now, the lower elementary playground is serving their needs, especially right where the preschool classroom is located as well. So that is what we have before you. What questions might you have for myself or maybe for Matt?
To the chair, kind of like 2 or 3 questions. I know these are digitally put into these pictures.
Yes.
On this. What is that ground made of? Is that rubber?
No, that's
engineered wood fiber
It's
as
wood.
it exists now. It will stay the same, but we'll be topping it off to make sure that it's maintained at its adequate depth and clean, fresh start.
Okay, and some of these things are kind of dangerously close to the building. That's why I say they're digitally put on there with.
Well, yeah, they're digitally put on there, and I believe you included probably a 2D top view. So you would probably
A
see.
couple of different things that was near the
It's
building.
actually fencing.
And just so you know, I wouldn't, not dangerously close in any way, because what we're required to do, because we have to, basically adhere to guidelines and standards. So everything that we will be providing you will meet all of those standards. You'll notice that that playhouse probably sits a little bit closer, only for the fact that what it does, because it's ground-based play, where a child always plays with their feet on the ground, it's not required to have the usual 6-foot use zone bubble around it. So as an opportunity to sit there a little bit closer, and the reason it's probably positioned there is to make use of the space, the available space, because if you go over here like this, you can kind of see how these will have that use zone bubble around it. So what we do is we have to position it so these don't overlap, that they respect each of their own, which is why this sits there. Now this can actually be moved a little bit further this way, so it is a little bit further away from the building, as long as we don't encroach in any of this red space.
I'm just kind of going by
Yep.
what she said, that
Yep.
kids like to climb, and they'll
Yep.
find a way to climb on something.
Oh, always.
And 4-year-olds, they'll
Well,
climb.
that's why the teachers are out there with them.
Supervised play is the
Right?
best play,
Yeah.
in this case.
Yeah.
Especially with Great Start Readiness Program. But that's why. So everything is definitely, when we leave there with the turnkey project, we make sure that everything can pass all the LARA licensing, so then that they have all the documents that they need to make sure that they get their licensing approved.
Yeah, I get all that, I just think that should be a little bit away from that.
And we can do that.
That brick building, because they're gonna
Noted.
run and chase each
Yeah,
other.
like at Fisher, it's pretty tight, right?
Yeah.
Near the building, yes.
Oh.
What, you had another question?
I'm sorry, was
Mr.
that?
Johnson? Okay, yeah.
So, to AJ's point though, I think that, like for Jefferson, the building isn't there. I mean, it's the walkway, so I guess the building rendering isn't exactly to.
Correct.
Where the playground is at Jefferson, there's a
Yes,
walkway.
there is,
So,
there's
but
a
they show
walkway.
the building directly right next to
Right.
the play area, so
Yeah.
I think to your point, I don't think the building will be there 'cause it's
However,
not
when
there.
when you go to Fisher, just because of the property and the way it is, the preschool playground is closer to actual building than the other. But everything that's been put in there, whether it was before or not, had to meet, if it's climbing, standing, has to meet a certain foot clearance. So, yeah. Yeah. And then Vandenberg is back, on the back end of the property, southwest, basically near the residential area. Yeah.
Anybody else?
I do have a question. I'm sorry, I have a question about Vandenberg. So, Vandenberg's, to your point, is back there by that fenced-in area.
Correct.
In the past, there's been some issues with that fence related to the house that's right there behind it. Has that been addressed so that that space will be a little bit safer for the kids? Because I know at some point there was a dog that was back there
Oh,
behind
yeah.
Vandenberg that was kind of right there. I don't know if the dog is still there. I haven't been there recently, but I know the fence was kind of messed up because the dog was trying to go up under there and was kind of, yeah, so I don't know. Has that been addressed?
I know any
Part of this?
concerns that there may have been with that playground have been addressed.
Okay.
To my understanding, I haven't heard about like an actual dog.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to Principal Hughes about that or anything
Okay.
that had come on.
Okay.
But,
'Cause I
yeah,
know it
just-
was, a couple years ago, there was a dog that was consistently digging up under there and, the kids were sometimes reaching towards the dog and it was
Sure,
kind of a
of
thing.
course,
So I
we
don't know
would
if
love
that's
that,
still a
yeah.
thing or not.
We can follow up with
but
her and see
you
how
have
it's
a,
going. Yes.
I can take a peek at that one.
okay, thank you.
No, awesome. Great.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I got a couple questions for you. Can you explain more about this house here that says Bingo's House and what it is for, like for the play of the kids? What do they do with this?
Essentially, what it allows an opportunity is for imaginative play, because a lot of kids kind of want to do that, at that age, there's a lot of that. It also provides a good place to, kind of like a sensory relief. There's sometimes children like to have a little bit of a quieter, cozy spot. That allows them the opportunity to kind of recess from maybe what might be going on in the playground, just to take a moment, a quiet moment for themselves. So a lot of times it suits that need. So it really allows a little bit more also of the collaborative play, because, something as far as, house, and, oh geez, I'm going inside, snacks
They do
and
that in
whatever.
the
They just,
classroom,
they
too.
create their own opportunity like that. You know, in the past, we've never really had anything that addressed that need from that standpoint, so it's something that really recently, you know, we've kind of, you know, decided to create and market because it was something that was constantly asked for. It was something that still provided that type of play that you might see, kind of like a lot of times you'll see at, you know, most residential applications, those older like little type playground type houses and so forth that are movable. They don't really meet the needs of a, you know, licensed playground. So this is a lot, what we did is create something that has firm footings and foundations that won't be able to move, that meets all those needs.
Is it made out of plastic?
Yeah, it's like a heavy HDPE plastic. Yep. And
But
and
it can't
with a
be
steel
moved.
frame. What?
It's in a steel frame?
Oh, yeah,
So
it's not
like
going anywhere.
in the ground?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're not moving.
Okay.
It's not going anywhere.
Oh, yeah, so nobody can just like take it and be like, yeah,
No.
this is my house.
Oh, yeah, taking this to my backyard.
Right. My follow-up question was, how did you guys decide on these 4 additions to what was already there? Like, what was the process?
So in
for
our
that?
request, we had asked for climbing, spinning, all the things I said to you that we kind of uncovered, right, as we did the playground homework with the others. And so those were the
Yeah,
pieces
and,
that they had
and
come back
individual
with.
and pair activities. So
Correct.
what we did is we had such a nice large structure already that was in great shape and equal at every one. So what we did is that's where we looked to enhance it by saying, okay, we're gonna provide something that spins, has a smaller footprint, but also allows, you know, team spinning. So 2 can sit there definitely and others can spin them as well. You know, it's good for vestibular stimulation, the inner ear. Some students find it calming, so it allows them the opportunity to get that energy out and then return to the classroom and better learn. And then you have the opportunity with the Sensory Wave Climber. What's nice about that is if you were ever to have even a child in a mobility device, it's a great opportunity. It sits at a transfer height, so they're able to transfer from their device to the Sensory Wave Climber. It also has built-in hand and foot holds, which allows them to scoot up as ability allows, as each individual is different. It also then has some sensors which can be played on the outside, inside, which allows them the opportunity then to either approach it in a wheelchair and engage with it from the side, because it's a very large piece and it sits at that height. But then they also have the different pieces as far as the bells, the Make It Rain, the Pachinko, the 3 in a row, which is like kind of like 4 in a row. And then also there's a Rotogen Emotions panel, which allows the opportunity, no batteries, you can kind of have it crank it, spin it to provide the energy, and then they can pick things such as I'm feeling happy, sad, angry, excited. And, you know, it just allows for that opportunity and expression, you know, without actually being possibly even, you know, vocal about it. They're just able to play that game with, you know, teachers and so forth. And then we added the jazz combo because a lot of times music, I think, is kind of integral at that age because you start to develop that and it's actually tonally correct. So it's not something else where you might think, oh, they're just going to be beating on it. It does allow the opportunity, you know, if you do have that gifted child that maybe will grasp music at such an early age, but it is a nice piece to be able to add foreground-based play and then collaborative play. That's why we did it. And also, too, I think I heard some rumblings, too, if you're going to ask about the colors. I'm responsible for picking Gumdrop when we put it together just because it's one of my standard favorite primary palettes. If you choose really to want to go down the road of exploring other colors to better match maybe possibly the colors of each location, we can share our full color palette thing and you can definitely still pick it because nothing's been ordered at this time.
I thought the colors were fine. So
Okay.
it's out there for blue.
Yeah.
For most of it.
They actually kind of coordinate with a lot of.
Yeah.
And it coordinates with the
Yeah.
main structure. That's kind of,
Not-
really, we pulled that,
yeah.
those colors kind of out because that would then kind of be cohesive with what you already have going on.
Yeah. And so since the fences aren't in here, we're not getting new fences, right? You're just using
That's
what's
correct.
already there?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and then my last question was warranty for the equipment. Is there one? What if something breaks? What if you lose the little mallets for the xylophone?
Yes, we're here for all, we're here for all of that, you know, being your local representative. That is something that would, you know, definitely just be going through me if you have any problems, questions, concerns. But as far as the lifetime, you know, it's basically a lifetime warranty on typically structure type things, but when you look at your plastics, you're gonna be in that 15-year, you know, as far as that type of warranty. Anything, you know, obviously vandalism related is not gonna be covered, but a lot of times we can work with you to get certain things filled out, you know, as far as a discrepancy for that, to be able to get everything replaced. In most cases, anything happening in the early stages, the first 1 or 2 years, we typically cover any installation-related charges, but as we get further down the road, if there was a warranty replacement, we can also provide the services to make those, you know, changes and reinstall it, et cetera.
Okay, I do have one more question.
Okay.
Sorry. Do you happen to know how hot the plastic gets when it's out in the sun?
It's gonna get as hot as anything else would in the sun, to be honest with you. I get, we get the question a lot when it comes down to it. And in most cases, if you're gonna have, something's gonna be sitting probably with full sun exposure, and it's gonna be, a 90-degree day, essentially anything else is gonna absorb that type of heat and be hot. In most cases, I would say I wouldn't look at it upon anywhere in which it would be physically impossible to play on it in those type of temperatures. But, your darker colors typically obviously will absorb, but there's not many colors that we really have when it comes to plastics that are gonna be light colored, because then light colors also create its own set of problems as far as with, shoes leaving marks and dirt and environmental exposure from, the wood chips and dirt and so forth. But I really don't think that, with all the playgrounds that we have in all the districts all across this great state, in most cases, it's never been a feedback or a limiting factor to say we're having a problem with the heat.
Okay, so you've never had to worry about like, oh, we need to plant some trees or get some of those, like the pole with the screen that like casts a shadow over the playground type thing?
Shade typically can be a very good thing, but in most cases that, a lot of times it's not provided because usually our worst months are the months in which they're not in school. So a lot of times they choose not to make that type of investment. And unfortunately, the investment typically comes also with enhanced maintenance, because in most cases, especially with a winter like we've had, you get the heavier snow, the snow loads, it's one of those things that you take it down on and off and on and off. So in most cases, that's something, and the beauty about shade is it can always be added later. If you really, believe there is a problem in certain locations where there might be more direct exposure, single post cantilever shade can be added at a fairly minimal cost to alleviate those concerns, or to provide a respite.
We do have a good fortune at Fisher. You're on the northeast corner.
Yeah.
So much shade at Vandenberg. You all know the beauty of the shade at Vandenberg. So it's really probably more Jefferson than anything that would get the most sun exposure. Yeah.
I have a couple questions as well. The Bingo's Playhouse,
Yes.
how is that in the ground? Are you just sitting it deep in the ground?
No, it's essentially it has like a frame. So what it does is that we'll have metal posts that'll go in, we'll dig a hole, pour concrete footing to adhere and grab that, and then through our standard, tamper-resistant fasteners, we attach all the different panels and play events on it. So then it's basically one cohesive piece that can't be lifted and or moved.
And then because of that in this jazz combo, they don't have a 6-foot
Correct.
perimeter, right?
Correct.
And this duo spinner, does it teeter as well or no?
No, it's just spins.
It just spins.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's from 2 to 5. We can't really have all that competing motion.
Yeah.
It's got to basically be like one or the other.
Okay. And I think this is a you guys question. So there's a fence here, right, at this jazz combo, like an opening to the fence at Fisher, right behind it. So if I'm to look at this, so the fence covers the area.
Right.
And right where that jazz thing is, there's an opening, a door, a fence.
Right. You wouldn't
Entry.
have it right there.
No, yeah.
Because the gate is right there.
Yes, we just.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
The gate is right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Approximate placement.
Yeah.
That's gonna be, adjusted.
Anyone else? I have, so it'll just be the 4
At each school.
at each school, right?
Be 3.
3 schools.
3 improvements.
Okay, that's right, you
3
said.
improvements at the existing preschool playgrounds.
Okay. So the 2-seater will be just one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Each one will get a Century Wave Climber with the gizmos on it. Each one will get a duo spinner. Each one will get the jazz combo. Each one will get a Bingo's Playhouse.
Okay.
To already match the existing composite structure with sliding and climbing.
Okay, all right. Okay, I think we answered all the questions we had.
Thank you.
All right. Alrighty. Next item on the agenda is this. We already did discuss that, right?
That's entirely up to you. If you
Okay,
feel you need
next
more
item on
discussion,
the-
it's on your agenda. So.
Next item on the
Wait,
agenda.
I have a question.
Yes.
You said the funding for this is coming from the GSRP program?
coming
So
from the
nothing's coming out of the bond for that?
That is correct.
Okay, that was my question.
Okay.
Or general fund, or
Yeah.
it's from the
Next
GSRP
item on the
funding.
agenda is discuss and consider support of the stormwater management plan.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight, the board will discuss and consider the possible support of the district's stormwater management program plan, which is required underneath the state of Michigan's Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, MS4 permit. As a public entity that owns and operates facilities discharging stormwater into the municipal system, the district must maintain documented policies and procedures to prevent illicit discharges, manage runoff, and reduce pollutants from entering surface waters. The district's stormwater management plan is available on the district's website through its transparency page. Formal board support of the stormwater management program ensures that the district remains in compliance with state and federal environmental regulations and provides administrative authority for implementation, enforcement, and ongoing oversight of required stormwater management practices across our district facilities. A special thanks to Mr. Chris Jones for his continued efforts on the stormwater management plan, and he is also here this evening should the board have any questions prior to its discuss and possible consideration, as there is a resolution attached for board consideration this evening, Madam President.
Are there any questions?
To the chair.
Yes.
Just one. I know you said in your email to us that the previous policy and procedure was like in cohorts with the township. For this new plan, was there any like other outside groups consulted, like the Rouge River people?
So we don't have any direct connections with watersheds. What we do is we pretty much empty out into the receiving body, which is Redford Township. So what they're doing is they're basically breaking apart smaller elements. The township's got struggles, the county level has its struggles. Basically, we take ownership of our own stormwater and making sure we maintain there. Any type of plans that go outside with some of the other organizations, at least for this portion, would actually create more problems than it would assist the district. We're trying to stay on a safer, compliant, cost-effective side.
So then, my last question would be, do any of these changes have an impact on like the watershed basin with the bond work at Fisher? Because I know they had talked about a retention pond at one point. Will this affect that at all?
So we're still in process with it. The application is at 100% through Eagle yet. However, we have to go through a Part 91 process through the county. So I did speak with the people that we work with as they're doing out these projects, and they are making sure that we're compliant on the county side with the pieces that we need to there. So all the construction we've been doing up to now and the planned projects are all compliant for what we're submitting.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam President, there is a resolution attached for board consideration, should it so choose.
Do I have a board member willing to adopt the resolution?
To the chair?
Yes.
I'd like to move the adoption of the following resolution, please.
Support.
It's been moved by Mrs. Cheryl Flesher and supported by Miss Amanda Flesher. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? 6 ayes, 0 nays, resolution adopted. Next item on the agenda is discuss and consider Thurston High School moving project.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight, the board will discuss and possibly consider awards for the Thurston High School moving project as it pertains to bond improvements. Bids were solicited and received for the work. The company that is recommended to conduct this work is Premier Moving for $96,560. A 10% contingency, total expenses not to exceed $106,216 is requested to cover any unforeseen costs associated with the project. This bid would be paid for out of the 2021 bond proceeds. And Madam President, members of the Board of Education, a resolution is also attached for board consideration, should it so choose.
Does anybody have any questions?
To the chair.
Yes.
The top bidder is not one that, of the companies that we had issues with in the past, is it?
That is correct. It's not.
It's not? Okay.
That's correct.
That's my only question.
Okay. Anyone else?
Wonderful question.
Yes, it is. Okay. Do I have a board member willing to adopt the resolution?
Mr. Chair.
Yes. It's been moved by Mrs. Early. Do I have a support?
Support.
And supported by Mr. Winston. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? 6 ayes, 0 nays. Resolution adopted. Next item on the agenda is comments from the audience, topics not related to the agenda.
None.
There are none, thank you. I do have one. I didn't say that we have a general meeting of Wayne County Wayne County Board of Education on February the 26th at 6 o'clock. And that will be held at Wayne Center. Next item on the agenda is a closed session for the purpose of strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement and to consider written legal advice from district legal counsel regarding a request for leave of absence. Is there a member willing to make the motion to enter into closed session?
To the chair,
Yes.
a motion to enter into closed session.
Support.
It's been motion to make the closed session. Motion to make closed session by Amanda Flesher, supported by Daniel Winston. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 6 ayes, 0 nays. We are entering closed session at
7:56.
7:56 p.m. Everyone except the board and those invited to stay will need to exit the room until we return to open session. Next item on the agenda, consider approval of a request for a leave of absence. Oh,
Madam President?
you want me to read this? Oh, okay. Did you want me to read this? I'll read it. The district received a request for a leave of absence for employee number 102253. The board will make a motion to accept or deny the request. Do I have a person willing to accept or deny?
Madam President, I move that the board deny the request for a leave of absence for employee number 102253.
Yes, support. Yes. Okay, so I should pull that off. Oh, it's been moved by Mrs. Fletcher and second by Mrs. Early to deny the request for a leave of absence of employee number 102253. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? 6 ayes, 0 nays. Motion denied. Got it.
Yes, thank you.
Next item on the agenda, Plus Delta.
What processes supported the board's work this evening?
To the chair,
Yes?
I appreciated the student council representatives being here. Thought it was great to see the young kids excited about having more of a voice and governance in what's going on in the school.
Very good. Any other?
What opportunities might the board have for this evening to support its future work?
Are there any? Well, I guess it's 0.
Back to you, Madam President.
Okay. Since there's nothing further that comes before this board, I adjourn at
9:15.
9:15.